Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ORL Online Racing League for the season finale. It will be at Brazil. Welcome back, one and all, round 12 of the season, of course, here in Brazil. My name's Joshua Davis, and alongside me, how it has been all season long, is Joanna Brito. Joanna, how are we doing?
Olá, Joshua. Bem-vindos ao Brazil. Welcome all to Brazil. So this should be a special one tonight with a few home drivers around the circuit, but and we can have a championship decided tonight, so it should be really interesting.
Absolutely. So we'll get you through all the drivers' standings up for you right about now. Before we get into qualifying, then Danny Beresnay with a 153 points to Chanakinchi's 123, 30 points advantage towards him, with Ismail Fassi on 119 in P3. Jan Haladesh sits P4 on 80 points, with Jakub Rosetsu in P5 with 59 points, just 1 point in front of Daniel Kjelsen in P6 with 58 points towards him. Tony Richet sits P7 with 50 points, with Ben Sabakonyi P8 with 48. Sorry, Isfan Pukki sits 9th with 41, and Christoph Seller just 1 point behind him in P10 with 40 points. Then on to the constructors. It is Alfa Romeo who should be the winners, I think, this season. Massive congratulations to them. 200 points plays to Alpine's 162. Mercedes sit P3 with 120 points. McLaren sit P4 with 112. Red Bull are 5th with 95. Williams sit P6 with 67. Scuderia AlphaTauri are 7th with 55. Aston Martin P8 with 53. Haas are 9th with 25. And Scuderia Ferrari sits at the back of the field so far in P10. And Joanna, I think we are about to get ready for qualifying right about now.
Well, some of our drivers have already started the dance around Interlagos, with Lucas Eduardo being the first one, putting a time on the board, and then being immediately beaten by Jerry Van Bussel on the Red Bull tonight with a 177. But I'm sure these times will still go way, way down.
Absolutely. So really interesting to see that we are this early into qualifying. We've already had two soft runners, obviously, on Jerry Van Bussel and Lucas Eduardo as well. Let's see who else is next on track. A few intermediate runs. That's Modestro Mena, who's just made it a little bit wrong out of Young Chow, as he's just made a little bit of a hash of it going over the curve. But on his intermediate run, of course, nothing harm, no harm done there for the Spaniard. He'll go for one more on this track. He goes up into P8 with a 129 points, 896. Jerry Van Bussel just pulling into the pit lane, currently top of the standings with that P1 time, 1 minute 7.792 for him. As bottom nine, still yet to go out for a few laps. As we said, only the top two so far. Lucas Eduardo is second place on a 7.890. So looking for a few more laps all the way down the order. We'll have a look what Modesto Mena is doing. Currently 200s up through into Sector 2. He will come in towards the right-hander, then flicking it towards the left. Really, really technical part of the circuit, Sector 2. That's where you want to gain most of your time out on that lap. Sector 1 and Sector 3, really plain sailing. Apart from this, obviously, center S's of Sector 1 can really toughen you out, but Sector 3 is pretty plain sailing, as Modesto Mena really struggling on the Zinters, of course, on a dry track.
Yeah, there's no surprise there, is it? Those are not made for dry tracks, and it's interesting to see them on the intermediates so soon. considering that Brazil, in my opinion, is one of those tracks that you have to consider the rain.
You absolutely do. Obviously, we've had a fair share of rainy races over the years. Obviously, 2008, that championship decider at the start. And then right at the end, we had those rainy parts, which saw Lewis Hamilton win his first world championship, of course, all those years ago. Oh, what was that? 12, 15 years ago almost. Seems like absolutely yesterday. It's been absolutely incredible. But yeah, 2018, well, 2016, 2015, I think it was very, very rainy indeed. Max Verstappen holding his own there in the Roettes. Had an amazing race back over there. But we haven't had our fair share of wet races for quite a while, for a past few years, but we never know. We might get some rainy races over us tonight, but we'll never know. But we're right on board then with Lethal Sniper for a lap of the Sao Paulo circuit here in Brazil, heading into the center then fast left, second right, and then another left-hander staying tight towards the curves as long as you can as the DRS hits you right in the face as you head into Destino del Lago. 100 meters before you want to be breaking a 16.810 in sector 1 for Lethal Sniper, the Italian, really giving it everything out of sector 1. Then heading up towards the hill, flying towards that right-hander, 6th gear action, heading on towards the curves, braking hard towards the first right, and then into the second sort of hairpin, if you like, of the left-hander, staying tight towards the curves, and then letting the car glide away out of the exit, and then a flick towards the right once again as you head under the track, flying towards the left-hander and into the final corner of Jun Xiao. Lewis Hamilton winning the championship out of that final corner, passing Timo Glock for P5 on the last lap of the Grand Prix. You never know, we could have that tonight. Danny Beresne could be the one who seals this championship. Coming towards the line comes Lethal Sniper, and across the line he will come to a 1 minute 7.639, and it's the quickest of the lot so far, Joanna.
Of course, as we mentioned, these times will still go down, and the later you put a lap on, probably the faster it will be, considering track evolution, of course. But so far we have all drivers preparing the soft compounds, no more green tires on the cars. So we had Little Sniper already jumping to the top, and now we have Christian Sandel and Nardi Perez starting their attempts on the softs as well. Still on the outlap, but ending it, Andres Lopez.
There we go then. Let's have a look what Andres Lopez is doing in the AlphaTauri tonight. He comes towards the line, just about to set his first flying lap of the session, 1:11.9 on the intermediates, I think that was, as he comes towards center S's now. A few more people deciding to come out for their laps. The Brev Court is just into Destino del Lago right about now. We'll see what Nardi Perez is doing. He's through into Sector 2, just coming into Sector 3 on his run. The Mercedes has had an up and down season so far, but definitely wants to end this season on a high here in Brazil. 2.7 up on his intermediate time so far. A little bit of a wobble out of Jun Xiao, but gets away with it. It's a little bit scruffy out of there, but keeps the flow going right up towards the line. Full foot to the throttle. DRS wide open, staying tight towards the left-hand side, and across the line for Nardi Perez. P4, 3 seconds of an improvement with an 8.159. And who is next, I wonder, is that could be Andres Lopez or Christian Sendao. Yes, it was Christian Sendao. Goes into P2 with a 1 minute 7.646. Daniel Clesion is coming up towards the line now. He crosses the line to start his first flying lap as well. Andres Lopez just behind him as Lillian goes quickest of the lot with a 7.619. Andres Lopez sits into P6 with a 108.396 as Felipe Sousa, the homeboy from Brazil, starting his lap about now.
Interesting to see. Felipe is probably the Brazilian that has been racing the most with us, and of course always special when you get to race at your own country, if I may say. Of course, it's not physically, he probably is physically there, but you know what I mean. It's always a bit different, and some yellow flags coming up, but I think it's just drivers letting others by ahead of him. Hopefully he won't catch any traffic. There's one Red Bull and one AlphaTauri right ahead of Felipe Sousa, and this part of the track is so technical. He gets rid of one of them. Now this specific one, it's so difficult. You don't really know how you can lose the rear of the car and completely ruin your lap, but thankfully he manages to navigate through the traffic just fine. While we have Ismail Fassi going fastest with 17377. Let's see where Felipe Sousa can get comparing to the Spaniard from the Mercedes. And of course, crossing the line, the McLaren goes third with a 17559, and Igor Araújo jumping right behind his fellow countryman with a 17582.
Ferrari boys locking out the second row. Crystal Sella just beaten him there with P3, a 7.471 for him. Title rival Chanakinchi goes even better, 4 thousandths quicker than him to P3, 17.471 for him. Fassi, the quickest of the lot, as we just seen, with a 17.377, breaking into the threes. Daniel Kalishin, one of the rising stars so far in F1 esports, really doing the business so far in a lot of leagues he's competed in, obviously in ORL as well, looking for that win to top it off as well with a 17.462 so far. Lethal Sniper also out there. I think he's just coming in for an in-lap. See who else is out there currently. Championship rival, championship leader so far. Danny Berezne is on a lap so far in the Alfa Romeo. 16.6 in Sector 1 as he glides his way towards out of Decina Delago. A little bit of a wobble out of the exit for the Alfa Romeo. Just about gets away with it in time. Yellow flags just in front in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Should be a few cars just slowing down as he heads towards the right and flicking it towards the left. The championship leader, Danny Berezne, who's been absolutely incredible this season. Almost pretty much winning every single race he's competed in. Obviously, Australia was a little bit of a setback with that P4, but definitely came back fighting. Canada, yeah, sorry, with that disconnection right at the end of the race. And that was absolutely heartbreaking. Could have won the championship a little bit earlier if it weren't for that. But unfortunately, disconnections can happen in F1 esports. And that is the way it rolls as he crosses the line now. Goes quickest with a 17.215. 5 minutes to go in Q1.
Will we still get to 1.6 tonight? I think so, but not in this first qualifying session.
Sector, the 1 minute sixes are definitely possible. Fassi and Akinci retiring there. We have seen it in the past in a few games. Obviously, the sixes were pretty much bankers at the time. We've seen fives before on the F1 2020 days. Probably will not see them ever again unless 23 is drastically quicker and a little bit more grippier than this game. But I highly doubt that will happen, but we'll have to settle probably, I'm going to assume, the high sixes we might get, high to mid sixes, probably from the likes of Berezne, Fassi, Akinci, Kjelton are your probably main favourites to get under those times, but we'll definitely wait and see. All these drivers want to head out with a bang. Danny Berezne, most importantly, trying to wrap up this championship indeed, and Chana Akinci currently in P4, needs something big as well as Danny Berezne comes back into the pits with 3 minutes left to go. It's only Yeri Van Bassal out on a lap so far, but the bottom five, so far, Moldovan, Maya, Varga, Botond, Andreas Lopez and Nadi Perez is your bottom five so far. You're probably looking, what is safe? It's about a mid 1 minute 7, I'm going to say, Joanna.
Yeah, to be honest, I think they're safe. But with such a short track, I can't help but admire their confidence in retiring so soon into the session. But then again, it's first qualifying session. 15 will go through to the next session. But when we think about Milan Maya and Audi Perez, two drivers that have been into Q3 more than once, up to the top 15, I'm not sure I'll be retiring just yet. But again, those are three very, very good times, so they'll probably be safe for now. Let's see what the rest of the field can answer to these retirements, and if any of them will be very, very close to not qualifying, or even not qualifying when the session is done.
Yeah, definitely everyone on the cusp there. Yeri Van Bassal riding on board with him now, currently P13. Berezne retires from the session. He thinks he's safe and probably is with that 7.2. Van Bassal very, very wide out there. Might have just invalidated. I think he has just slowed down. Yes, he has, as he lets the Alfa Romeo out of the way, running his Brazilian sort of style helmet tonight. Very, very nice indeed from the Red Bull, as the Ferrari just passes him out of the way. So we'll wait and see where everyone else is on track. Christian Sendal, I think, is just behind him on his installation. No, he's on a lap at the moment, actually, as he heads towards sector number 3. flying towards the right and flicking it towards the left comes Sandal. Been mostly fighting in F2, gets his chance to come into F1 tonight, and he's just a tenth and a bit under his personal best so far, going quicker, just under a tenth quicker indeed as he comes towards the line now. Christian Sandal, currently P10, could do it with a decent run here, which could put him in towards the top 5 as he crosses the line right about now and goes into P6 with a 1 minute 7.508, and that should be plain sailing for him into Q2 as who was that just jumping up the field? That might have been Milame. Yes, it was. Into P9 he goes for a Haas 1 minute 7.618, 1,000th quicker than Lilian Debrevcourt in P10 there. As we wait and see who else is next towards the line. Nadi Perez just finishing his final lap is his teammate, yes, of Milame. Igor Arua, I think he's just crossing the line right about now, goes into the top 3 there. Igor Arua really putting the business at his home country, and he puts it into the top 3 there, 7.411, really on par with Ismail Fassi there. Felipe Sousa also on a lap, just starting his final lap in qualifying. Everyone out on track now so far. Nadi Perez is making his way through the scene of the Lago. Andres Lopez crosses the line now up into P9, 7.562 for him. Lethal Sniper goes a little bit better to a 7.514, very, very close in the midfield tonight. Stefano Ramazio is coming towards Sector 2 as well, 8,000 up so far as Andres Lopez, as we just saw, go into P11. Varga Bossond is currently slowing down. He's going to need something in these next couple of laps. They're going to have to go if he wants to get another lap in. We'll see who else is coming towards there. Yeri Van Bassau is going quicker. No, he's not. He's had a little bit of a moment, and that is it to his qualifying session. Will not be going into Q2. Same with Lucas Eduardo, who's hit the wall somewhere out of that lap. This seems to be going the completely wrong way and gets disqualified from the session. Modesha Rumena is currently improving, 2 tenths up in Sector 2. The checkered flag is now out. Currently on a 7.913. Bogdan Moldovan is just behind him in P19. Lucas Eduardo getting disqualified from the session, heading up towards the line. Now comes Modesha Rumena across the line. He will go into P14, right on the cusp there. Corden N'Golo, 25,000 up so far. What is Bogdan Moldovan doing? He's currently 3 tenths up in Sector 2. What can he find in Sector 3 as he heads up towards the line now, out of the final couple of corners with the Ferrari of Bogdan Moldovan. He crosses the line now. Can he see himself into Q2? Yes, he can. P8 for him, and that is nicely done. From the Ferrari up into P8 he goes and sees himself into Q2. Corden N'Golo, can he knock out his teammate of Modesha Rumena into Q number 2? He crosses the line right about now, and he is still P18. Could not improve, and it's Varga Botond, Stefano Ramazio, Corden N'Golo, Yeri Van Bassau, and Lucas Eduardo knocks out in Q1, sorry.
I didn't really see any mistake from Stefano Ramazio in the second half of his lap that I followed. So maybe on the first half he compromised, or just something happening, and it was not enough. The cutting time being 1:76.45 with Varga Botond and Stefano Ramazio. Well, and Cordon N'Golo still really close to that time. So really tight margins, making the difference in this first qualifying session.
Absolutely. So it is a familiar face on the front row in qualifying 1. Danny Berezne getting almost a tenth and a half to Ismail Fassi there in P2, with Igor Aruo sitting it in P3 with Lilian Debrevcourt in P4. Daniel Kjelton is 5th with Chana Kinchi in P6 with Christoph Salas 7th. Bogdan Moldovan is 8th with Christian Sandal in 9th. Lethal Sniper sits in the top 10 with Felipe Sousa 11th. Andres Lopez is 12th. Nadi Perez sits 13th. Milan Mayer is 14th. And Modesha Rumena just staying through in P15. And Varga Botond, Stefano Ramazio, Corden N'Golo, Yeri Van Bassau, and Lucas Eduardo are knocked out in Q1. We head into Q2 in a couple of moments, John.
One Brazilian already out of this qualifying session, still 2 in the contention with Igor Arouge in P3. Very nice indication. Of course, we had a couple drivers not going for a second attempt, but it's still a good reference for the Brazilian.
Definitely. So ideally, you do want to be getting only that one run in qualifying if necessary, just to save those tyres. But anything can happen. And obviously, if you are running that risk of elimination, you definitely want to get as many runs in as possible as we wait for the second round of qualifying to start. And it should be an absolute cracker to see who goes through to the shootouts for the final time this season here in Brazil. And what a way to end the season indeed. An absolute corker of a race circuit we have in Sao Paulo. Definitely one of my favorites to commentate and watch throughout the years. Driving is probably a different issue as I'm not as skilled as these guys, but it is definitely fun to watch the action or power through and talk it over to you guys. But Q2 just happening now. Probably a similar story, I'm going to say, Joanna, to see who goes through into Q number 3, and probably a similar story to see who will get on that top step.
Are you picking up this race for the first attempt? It's impressive. They're just overtaking each other right behind Beresnay, right off the pit lane. Joshua.
Yes, sorry, I was a little bit in another world there, just sorting out something on OBS. But yeah, Danny Beresnay and everyone seeming to try and get through into positions there. So a little bit of Italy vibes from all those years ago, 2019. I think it was everyone just trying to battle everyone else out of the pit lane. But yeah, a little bit of a squabbling already out in Q2, something you want to see. But it is obviously nice to get those little bit of battles out of qualifying, as Danny Beresnay is the first one to cross the line, as something happening just further back.
Yeah, Modesto Mena and one of the Mercedes, they're racing each other in qualifying.
Let's remember, let's have a look where he is going. If I can find it.
Sorry, I don't know the name in English.
Yes, they are. There we go. Modesto Mena and Igor Ruf side by side going into the scene of Interlagos, fighting here on their first runs in qualifying. Modesto Mena with the slipstream going side by side, trying it around the outside of the Mercedes, still side by side. As I think one of the Mercedes, that Nadi Perez, and still having a look down that inside is Modesto Mena, 15th and 14th up to grads. And this is probably not going to be the quickest qualifying sessions we have, but already the Mercedes and the Aston Martin fighting pretty hard in this qualifying session. We'll flick over to Danny Beresnay, who's just finishing his his first lap in qualifying too, as he heads up towards the line now in the Alfa Romeo. The DRS will hit him right in the face as he heads up towards the line now. Where can he find himself in Q number 2? Sits in P1 with a 7.464 to start things off. Sella P2 a 7.640 for him. Modesto Mena on a 1 minute 9.216. Janakinci P3 a 7.881 for him. Melamea is just coming up towards sector 2 right about now. Daniel Kelton puts it into P3, immediately replaced by Felipe Sousa, goes quicker with a 1 minute 7.698 for him. Christian Sendao now puts it on the front row, beating Christoph Sella. 1 minute 7.590 is his time in the McLaren. Melamea just coming up towards sector 3 right about now. What is Lethal Sniper doing? He's just behind in a few corners later as we head up towards the hill for Melamea, crossing the line right about now. The DRS will hit you right in the face, staying tight towards the line as much as you can, almost coming into the pits as he crosses the line right about now and stays P10. I think that was invalidated actually, Joanna, as Lethal Sniper is just coming up towards the line now.
Sorry, didn't get it. Who do you think invalidated?
I think it was Melamea just crossing the line. I think he's going to have to go again.
Well, this one is not invalidated, so let's see. But he doesn't have any battery, really, at the moment, so should not be an easy task at the moment for the house driver. But then again, still plenty of time to go back into the pits and go for another attempt, as for sure Ismael Fassi and Modesto Mena after that fight will have to. Well, then I actually finished the lap with a 19216. So didn't do each other any favors.
Definitely not indeed. 1 minute 9 for Modesto Mena, and I think who was battling for Nadi Perez with a 7.958. Might be an Ismael Fassi who's in the pit lane as well. Melamea is about to cross the line now if he decides to keep this lap going. No, he doesn't decide to come back into the pit lane. and we'll have to try again on that one. Lethal Sniper just making his way up the hill right about now to come back into the pit lane on a 16.666, unless he's going to try and keep this lap going as he heads into pits. No, he's going to keep this lap going as much as he can across the line. He will go now to a 1 minute 8.107, and into the top 8 he goes, 8.107, but we're definitely going to see a few more quicker laps going from there. Madeshra Mena and Linda Brevcourt not setting pretty competitive times, and the bottom 11 still yet to go out on track.
Well, they did go out on track. They just didn't really put a time on. So for sure they'll have to go out again. And the first one going for a second attempt is the McLaren of Felipe Sousa.
Felipe Sousa just coming out of the pits now. Obviously, racing in Brazil tonight, representing Brazil, his home track, of course, alongside Igor Aruo just behind him in P15. His fellow countryman Lucas Eduardo was knocked out in qualifying, sitting P20 just a few moments ago in qualifying 1. And Felipe Sousa currently putting it into P4. Got a podium last time out at Saudi Arabia. So hoping to keep that momentum still going for Brazil tonight. A few little issues lagging out, I think, from there. Andres Lopez has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. As not sure what has happened there, but probably not ideal at all.
Yeah, for sure it's not ideal. 2 disqualifications out of this qualifying session. One in the first one, on the first part, and now another one. So, a bit unfortunate, but good news for the others. Only 4 places for dropping out in this qualifying session.
Yeah, very odd disqualifications we've had indeed, but we'll keep it going. Felipe Sousa is the first one to cross the line for our second attempt of the session. As he heads through the center S's nice and easily, goes the McLaren. The DRS is hit nice and early as he heads up towards the scene of the lag, and then braking just about the 100 meter board. 34 thousandths up in sector 1 so far. So not too bad a start for the McLaren as he heads up towards sector 2, then braking just a little bit of a kiss on the brakes as you head the car just rotate towards that double left-hander, heading on towards the curves, braking almost on the curves as you head towards the right, and then a flick towards the left once again as you head up the hill out of turn number 10. I think there was a little bit of a swap of the wheel from Felipe Sousa, nice and corrected out of there as he heads in towards Jun Chao for the final time. 7 minutes left to go in the session, 54 thousandths down so far, so he's going to need to find something in sector 3 if he wants to try and improve on that P4. Might not be safe just yet as he heads up towards the line, decides to back out of that one, doesn't think he'll improve. He's going to have to go again.
Quite a few small mistakes from our drivers, and well, Chanakinchi up to P1. Interesting to see, and he now just lets the guys there starting his lap at the AlphaTauri of Daniel Kilsen pass by, and then starting his journey back into the pits. Hopefully that should be enough for passing into the third qualifying session.
Definitely. So Cheltenham currently topping the standings. Russell Sella just puts it into P4 with a 7.274. So we're getting really, really tight in this qualifying session. Kelton on top so far with a 7.189. Let's see what Danny Berezne is doing. Currently 74 thousandths up in Sector 1. So not the greatest of Sector 1s for the championship lead as he heads up towards Sector 2. Then flying towards the left-hander, keeping it tight towards the curves and heading into Sector 2. Then a flick towards the right and another flick towards the left, keeping it tight towards the curves as much as you can. Let the car glide out for the exit and then heading up towards the hill and then coming down once again, braking hard. Not really an ideal braking zone out of there near the barriers as late as you possibly can. And then into Jun Chao, his teammate just in front of him, Lethal Sniper, is going to give him a nice and easy tow up the hill as he heads up towards the final couple of parts of the circuit. A nice little tow that the Alfa Romeo will get. Heading up towards the line comes Danny Berezne. Could this be a 6? Could this be a 6? Across the line he will come. It's a 6.951. And we're up into the 6s, as you said, Jonah.
I told you it would be cute too. So very interesting to see teamwork working really well. of course, compensating for a small mistake that Danny might have made on the first sector of the track. So, so far we have Little Sniper, I think, starting his attempt as well. As well, not really. He's waving, so he shouldn't. No, yeah, he's not using any battery. Never mind. And we have Bolton Moldovan without battery as well. So he uh, shouldn't be on a timed lap. Who should be finishing his no, even Ismail Foss is coming just coming back into the pit lane. So no action on track at the moment. Calm before the storm, as we usually say. Chenakinchi confident that that time will be enough to get into the third qualifying session, and deciding to retire, as well as Daniel Fassin. Daniel Kilson and Ismail Fosse. My brain going up faster than I can speak, so that mix of the names. But yeah, all three retiring from session. I'm sure Danny will join them with that time. But interesting to see what will be the cutting time. At the moment is a 1:74.22.
Definitely. So the slipstream seems pretty powerful up the hill. Danny Berezny found out probably a good couple of tenths out of that one. Daniel Kleefson in P2 at 7.189, a hundredth quicker than Ismail Fassi in P3 with a 17.199. And Chenakinchi retiring as well on a 7.227. Currently the cutoff, as you said, Joanna Igor Ruo currently P10 with a 7.422. Probably gonna say the top five might just be safe. Sendal might have to go for one more, unless Sousa can maybe find about 2-3 tenths out of his lap. Unless he can't, then probably the top seven are pretty much safe. Milan Mayer just about a tenth quicker than letting the Brevcore out of there, as a Lethal Sniper heads up to P12, the 1 minute 7.801 for Alfa Romeo. Currently not safe at the moment, so he's going to have to try and find something else out of that lap. Nardi Perez also starting his lap for Mercedes as well, as Lethal Sniper actually retires from the session. Is that on track, or is that a crash? No, it is on track, so I'll be getting a little bit of trouble for that one for Lethal Sniper, as he is out of qualifying. Hopefully Joanna might have heard me. I think,
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. So as I was trying to say, although you weren't listening, was that Nardi Perez just trying to burn as much fuel as he can on his outlap, as well as putting some temperature on the tires before he goes for his last attempt. I honestly would like to understand why Little Sniper retired on track with one attempt to go, but who knows, it's up to him. We have Nardi Perez starting our last set of final attempts in this second qualifying session.
Indeed, he is, as he heads up towards the center S's for turn 1 and turn 2. Igor Araujo is out there as well for Haas, as Nardi Perez heads up the hill. DRS wide open for the Mercedes. He heads up towards the scene of Interlagos. The only quicker so far, 27 thousandths up for his PB. Crystal Sella retires from the session in P6. He thinks he's safe. Probably just about is alongside Milan Mayer, who has decided to go for one more. So has Christian Sendao, as Nardi Perez heads up towards the hill. I think he has backed out of that lap. Yes, he has, currently in 8th gear out of the right-hand turns, and he's going to decide to back out of that one. Felipe Sousa is coming up towards the hill to start his first flying lap in the the final flying lap of his session. Igor Araujo is also out there for Haas, 95 thousandths up so far for him. Currently will be breaking in towards Minister Mena's pace, because Danny Berezny retires from the session as well. 89 thousandths up once again is in sector 2 is Igor Araujo, as he heads up towards the line now. The Haas will come up towards the DRS line out about now, will not get the toe out of the Mercedes. He heads up towards the final couple of corners, staying tight towards the line and into the top 5, and that Haas of Igor Araujo is showing some incredible pace so far, as Christian Sendao retires from the session, but that Haas is seeming pretty quick out there, Joanna.
Let's see if Felipe Sousa has enough time for another attempt or not. unfortunately, due to the 14 seconds. Let's see if he makes it or not. I hope so. Yeah, I think he will be safe. But it's all or nothing for the McLaren driver, and not much barrier to help him through.
Definitely. So as he heads up towards the line now, what can Sousa put in there? P12, and he is knocked out of qualifying. Unfortunate for him. Nardi Perez is out there as well. Bogdan Moldovan missing a front wing, so he is out of qualifying. It's all down to Nardi Perez in these last moments of qualifying, and that is a huge improvement, almost 6/10 up on his personal best. Currently looking at a 7.3. It's really, really tight between himself and Maestro Mena as he heads up towards the line. Comes the Mercedes and Nardi Perez. Can he get himself into Q3? Yes, he can. A top 4 there, just getting it on par with his teammate, beating Chanakinchi as Milan Meyer now puts it into P3 with 7.197. Nardi Perez into P5, a beautiful lap time there. And Maestro Mena, Bogdan Moldovan, Felipe Sousa, Lethal Sniper, and Andres Lopez are knocked out of qualifying. And once again, it's that man again, Dani Beresne, topping the timing sheets.
Another Brazilian down, another one going to the third qualifying session. And if I'll be honest, I think it would be Felipe going into the third qualifying session, but it's Igor Araújo on the Haas South American driver on American car. Sounds good. Going to the third qualifying session, and I'm curious to see how far will he be able. And Christoph Zella, who retired a bit early, just cutting it. Just making it into the third qualifying session.
Definitely. So as we head into the final qualifying session of the season, and look at that, Dani Beresne pulling it apart almost 2.5 tenths quicker than Daniel Kleitschen in P2. Melamea sits in P3. This Mafasi in P4. Nardi Perez sits 5th for Chanakinchi in P6. Igor Araújo is 7th for Brazil and for Haas. Lily de Brevcourt sits 8th for Christian Sandau in P9, and Christoph Seller just getting himself into the top 10 and through into Q3. Maestro Mena, Bogdan Moldovan, Felipe Sousa, Lethal Sniper, and Andres Lopez all knocked out in Q2 from 11th down to 15th as we head into the knockout, into the shootout for pole position, Joanna.
Interesting to see what will come out of this third qualifying session after all that battling between the two Spaniards at the beginning of the qualifying session. It was Modesto Mena who took the worst out of it, as Ismael Fassi proceeds quite comfortably into the third qualifying session. Let's see if we'll have a race out of the pits again, or if it will be a bit calmer this time around.
Definitely. So the Mercedes looking ready to go. Ismael Fassi already coming out of the pits alongside the Alfa Romeo of Dani Beresne. And I think one of the Alpines was Christoph Seller just in front. Yes, it was. I think Chanakinchi, no, he didn't follow him through. So it will be Daniel Kleitschen and Christoph Seller who follow through alongside Dani Beresne in P4 with Ismael Fassi just behind them as well, as we head to the final qualifying 3 session of the season. Then Dani Beresne will lead them out, and we can see if we can try and get into those mid 1 minute 6s, or maybe even lower. Dani Beresne, the only man to get into the 6s so far with that 6.9 in Q2. We can see who will be on pole position for the last time this season here in Brazil.
Well, have his teammate to help him this time around.
He definitely will not. Dani Beresne is going to have to do this by himself. We got him a little bit of time throughout of the last qualifying session. Question is, can he do anything this time around? Does he have anything in the pocket to try and get that all in those technical corners and pull out a 1 minute 6 lap times as he crosses the line? Right about now comes Dani Beresne heading into the center S as he comes, braking hard on the 50 meters, a flick towards the right and a flick towards the left, riding all those those curves as much as you can, staying tight towards the left-hand side. DRS hits you in the face as you head up towards the scene of Interlagos. Sector 1 split is looking at a 6.603, one of the quickest we've seen this session. Heading up towards the hill, out of bookings and head in towards the right-hander of Sector 2 then. Heading towards the right 6th gear action, heading towards the curves as much as you can on the exit as well. Braking on the curves, you direct the car to the right-hand side and then flicking it to the left, keeping tight towards the curves and let the car glide out on the exit and then hang up towards the hill, braking hard and then downhill up towards the final corner at Junchao, flying towards the left-hander, which glides on forever and ever, braking hard once again for the final corner, 50.435 out of Sector 2. Usually you could run that AstroTurf strip, not anymore. As you head up towards the line, comes Danny Berezne, the DRS once again hitting you in the face. Can we see a 1:06 from Danny Berezne? He crosses the line right about now, and it's a 1:06.09 for Danny Berezne. I think that was quicker than his Q2 time, pulling out the bag in his first run. Klitschen in P2, Sella is P3, Fassi into the 1:07.0 with a 7:083. Fassi in P2. His teammate Nadi Perez is P6. Igor Arujo is now 5th with an 8.086. Milan Mayer is about to cross the line right about now. No, he's not. He's in Sector 2. Chanakinchi stays out. So does Christian Sandau. And then Debrevko is just about to hit the line right about now.
Yeah, but Lillian has invalidated his attempt, so it will have to be another go for the Red Bull driver. And of course, in the meantime, we have Christian Sandel and Milan Mayer still on their attempts. Chanakinchi opting to leave the pits a bit later and is still on his outlap. So let's see what the Haas driver can get us on his first attempt on this final qualifying session. He goes 5th. So third row for the two. Oh, it was now Christian Sandel getting in the middle of the two Haas drivers and on that third line of the grid. But interesting to see. Pretty sure there was some mistakes getting out of Igor and Nardi both on the 8th second. I'm pretty sure they can do better than that.
Absolutely so. Almost 2/10 separating Danny Berezne and Ismail Fassi on their first runs. Chanakinchi is about to cross the line now for his first attempt in Q3.
You have Lillian on an attempt.
And Lillian deciding to go out for one more as well. 17.1 in Sector 1 and 51.4 in Sector 2. Sector 3 is about to come up for him now. What can the Red Bull do here in Brazil? Has had a pretty up and down season. Had some decent results in qualifying. He crosses the line right about now. Sits it into P7 with a 1:08.019. Chanakinchi, championship rival to Danny Berezne, currently a 60.6 in Sector 1.
Let's see what the Alpine driver can get us on his first attempt, starting it a bit later than the others. Probably a strategic move for the Alpine driver.
Definitely.
In the meantime, finishing up the second sector with a 50.6. I think that will be at least top 3 or top 4 perhaps. Let's see where he can go. Opening the DRS out of the final corner and crossing the line. P2, the two championship rivals, P1 and P2 at the moment.
Definitely so. Berezne still on that 609. He's currently out for his second attempt. Akinci doing well with that P2, a 7.050. We're yet to see two drivers in the sixes so far, but we definitely can see that as Chanakinchi goes to 10th and a half inside Danny Berezne, who's currently out on track right about now, coming towards the line in a few moments. Time to start his second attempt. And Danny Berezne will probably get about 2 more laps out of this one, unless he decides to go for 2 back-to-back. You can afford to do that at Brazil. The tyre wear is not too bad. But obviously, you have to think about the ERS as well as you head up towards the center S's, the left, the right, and the left once again, hugging that curb as much as you can as you let the car glide out towards the right-hand side as you head up towards the scene of the Lago. As he up by any chance, he's 8 thousandths down in Sector 1. What can he find in Sector 2? Might be running quite a high fuel load, so we might have to work out for that one as well, as he flicks the wrist out of the right-hander, gliding it as much as you can, heading up towards the curves, then heading towards the right, and a flick towards the left behind the Rolex barriers, and up towards the line they will go once again, heading up towards the left-hander, braking hard, heading up towards the curves once again, gliding it towards the exit, and into Junshao they will go. Danny Berezne braking hard once again, a tenth and a half up. That is a huge improvement for Berezne, sliding out of the final corner. That is his lap done, and was looking so good in Sector 3, just missing out, and that is a big mistake from Berezne, and a pretty rare one.
Yeah, of course, Daniel Kilton had invalidated his first attempt on the first sector, so it is now fast up to P2, and so close to Danny Berezne, 0.02 of a second separating them.
That is tight indeed. One of the championship rivals that Berezne has shared the floor with this season are so close once again with 4 minutes to go in the session. Fassi just needing 3,000ths for pole position as Nadi Perez is about to cross the line now. He crosses the line to do a 7.059, and that was invalidated. Actually would have put him about P5 as Ismail Fassi and Christoph Seller just putting it into P3 as well. Not sure if he's deciding to go or get it or not. Doesn't look like he is. But Danny Berezne missing out with that spin out of the final corner, just hitting the throttle too early. And this one, Fassi with a very decent lap there into P2 as well. 2,000ths separating the main two there.
Yeah, interesting to see Nardi Perez on a second attempt after having issues on his first one. Let's see where the Mercedes driver can help. It would be really good for him and for Fassi to have them both close to Berezne, so they can bear attack 2 versus 1 during the race. Let's see, out of the Junção corner, where will Nardi Perez put the car? Of course, oh, he aborts and goes to the pits. As I was going to say, this is a really challenge for me to be swapping because of course, this is my language, so I have to keep swapping between Portuguese and English when I say the owner's name, and sometimes I just have to hit the brakes so I don't just start speaking Portuguese.
Definitely. So now Igor Arujo is currently out there in P9 on an out lap. So is Lane de Brevecourt as well. So they'll be the first ones to come out. Daniel Kleitchen has just left the pits as well for Alpha Tauri. Igor Arujo will be the first one to cross the line in these final moments of qualifying. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the session as he heads up towards the line. The DRS rides on for the Haas man as he crosses the line right about now, and he will start the final runs in qualifying 3 here in Brazil. And this is going to be probably, hopefully, we'll try and setting up towards Nero's teammate into the top 6, into the top 5 as Danny Berezne leaves the pits right about now just in front of the Haas. And what can he find in Sector 1? You can find just under a tenth of a second, about 91,000ths, Joanna.
Yeah, that's not too much different from Berezne's sector, if I recall correctly. So let's see if he managed to keep the momentum throughout the second and third sector. So far, so good. No invalidations going on. Keeping it smooth out of these very traction difficult corners. So ending up closing up on at the end of the second sector. Still keeping it together. Let's see if he manages to keep it clean. Where Berezne lost it. It's a 3/10 improvement so far for the Haas driver. That would put him only near Christian Sandel. Let's see if he manages to get more time out of that last corner, and it's up to P6. So yes, he definitely improved a lot as well on the exit of Junção.
Definitely so. Lilian is just making his way through there. 8/10 of improvement on Lilian de Brevcourt's time, which put him into a 7.2 into Arujo's range. As he heads up towards the line now, the DRS will hit him in the face as he heads up towards the line now. The final 30 seconds of qualifying is underway, and Lilian de Brevcourt sits it into P5, a 1 minute 7.096. Daniel Kjelsen just crossed the line now, goes even quicker with a 7.053. Akinci now on the top step, breaks into the 8s, 6.881 for him. Danny Beresne is making his way through sector 2 and 3 as well. How much is he up in sector 1? Almost 2/10 up already in sector 2. This could be something special for the championship leader. Sendao into the 6s with a 6.999 into P4. Danny Beresne, can he put his way on pole position for the last time? He can break into the mid 6s with a 6.655. Now what does this Murfassi have to offer? Only 84 thousandths up in sector 2. He's going to have to find something magical out of sector 3, which is probably going to be quite a miracle. Not a lot going on in sector 3. Decided to close the DRS, not thinking this is good enough on his time. Does improve into P2 with a 6.839. Just goes a little bit quicker than Chan Akinci, but it's looking likely no one can stop Danny Beresne. Nadi Perez still stays P10, as I think that is pretty much everyone's times done and dusted, as Danny Beresne once again on pole position. Fassi is second, Akinci third, Sendao on debut is P4 with Sella in 5th, with Daniel Kishan 6th, Lilian is 7th, with Maya in 8th, Arujo is 9th, and Nadi Perez sits in the top 10. But once again, Danny Beresne on fire by about 2/10 of a second.
Interesting to see. It didn't look like he was improving that much, but that third sector, it's only one braking zone, but the line you take throughout the Svida dos box, it's just so important as well. It's not only about braking and getting traction out of corners.
Definitely so, but here we go then into the race for the final time this season. It's been an absolutely incredible season, and Danny Beresne is finishing it off in pole position, a 10th and almost just under a 2/10 of a second to Danny Beresne to Ismail Fassi in P2. Chan Akinci sits P3 with Christian Sendao in P4. 4 drivers just making it into the 1 minute 6s. Christoph Sella sits P5 with Daniel Kjelsen in P6. Lilian de Brevcourt sits P7 with Milan Maya in P8. Igor Arujo is 9th place, and then Nadi Perez sits in P10, and we have an absolute incredible final few laps here in the race and the final moments of the season, Joanna.
Yeah, still a lot to go. Many laps around this circuit. So let's see who will win, what will happen during the race. So it should be interesting. Let's say, of course, the run down into the first corner. It's not ultimately very important, but of course, the drivers will do their best to get as many positions as possible. That can go very, very wrong around here. So let's see if we don't have anyone spinning out of the first corner.
Absolutely. So if you have just missed qualifying, where have you been? It's Danny Beresne on pole position with Ismail Fassi in P2. Chan Akinci sits P3 with Christian Sendao in P4. Christoph Sella sits 5th with Daniel Kishan in P6. Lilian de Brevcourt sits P7. Milan Mea in P8. Igor Arujo sits P9 with Nadi Perez in the top 10. Modestro Mena is 11th with Bogdan Moldovan sharing the field in P12. Felipe Sousa sits 13th for Lethal Sniper in P14. Andres Lopez is 15th with Vagabotond in P16. Stefano Ramazio is 17th. Corin N'Golo 18th. Ivan Basel is 19th. And Lucas Eduardo is at the back of the field. We're finally ready to go for the final time here in ORL. Place your bets. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it starts right about now. The 5 laps are on. Beresne versus Akinci. they go out, and we are racing in Brazil. Beresne off to a good start. Fassi not doing well too bad either. They go into turn 1. Fassi down the inside. Beresne and Fassi side by side. They have been for so many races, but Beresne just getting the jump into turn 1 and turn 2. Fassi will get the slipstream heading up towards the line. A few more contacts further back. I think that is Keachin. He's had a little bit of a moment, but it's Beresne leading into turn 1 and turn 4 with Fassi in P2. Akinci sits 3rd, Sella 4th, Lillian 5th, Sandal is 6th with Millamere in 7th, Cleachin in 8th, Nani Perez is P9, and Lugo losing paces as well. Side by side goes the Alpha Tauri and the Haas with Ugo Arujo sitting all right behind the tyres of the Ferrari there as well. It's happened so far to Nani Perez. I think he's had a massive lockup down into 13th, but so far Beresne leads, Fassi 2nd, Akinci 3rd, Sella 4th, Lillian 5th with Sandal 6th, Mayer up to 7th, Cleachin 8th, Arujo 9th, and Moldovan in the top 10.
Someone must have forgotten to warn these guys. You don't go 3 wide in many places around Brazil. So many fights going on at the moment. Cars really tied together, and interesting to see Beresne and Fassi on the mediums, while most of the rest of the grid on the hard tires. Only Little Sniper making company to his teammates.
Very interesting indeed. Van Bassel getting a 5-second penalty in the pit lane as Ismail Fassi and Danny Beresne, the only of the top 10 on the medium compounded tyres, as Lethal Sniper deciding for the mediums as well. Further back, I think that's Milan Mayer having a look on Daniel Keaton round the outside. Not going to work, and he still remains in that P8 position. Kelton just holding on just about there, but Fassi and Beresne having the same idea, just to try to break away from the rest of the pack in these early stages of qualifying. So just watch out for them as they want to try and pit first, as Botond, Van Bassel and Gordon Ngolo in for damages at the start of the race. Not ideal for them. Beresne already hacking about a 6/10 advantage to Ismail Fassi. Chanakinchi currently in P3 with Christoph Sella in P4. The Alpines 3rd and 4th so far, trying to work together. Lillian is in 5th so far. A few more battling further back of the field as Lethal Sniper trying to get him way through Maestro Medeiros. Fassi sets a fast up of the Grand Prix at 1 minute 9.739 for him. He's running board with Felipe Souza, trying to have a look on Lethal Sniper. Nothing doing just there. A little bit of a mistake from the Alfa Romeo as they head up towards the Sanaresses, heading in towards the Tina Interlagos. Is there anything going for Sousa or anyone else in this field? Not looking likely. As they head up towards the Tina Interlagos, still nothing doing there for Felipe Sousa, but Ismail Fassi has started to gain a little bit more. Beresne as the DRS is deployed this lap. And hopefully Joanna is hopefully here to speak to us as we come into the sector 1. I think that was Vagabotond retiring in the pits there. Unfortunate for him, an early retirement for himself. Fassi into P2 as they head up towards the hill and into turn number 1. Fassi versus Beresne. Once again, how many times have we heard that before? Already pulling about a 1.5 seconds away from Chan Akinci as they head up towards turn number 1. Fassi and Beresne heading up towards the center S's now. Flick towards the left and a flick towards the right. Fassi versus Beresne. 5/10 in it. I think Fassi is just going to play it that waiting game a little while longer. Just waiting maybe for a mistake from Beresne. Let's hope the Williams just does not get involved. It's going to be quite tight as he retires from the session. Vagabotond early doors, and already Beresne and Fassi 2 seconds clear of Chan Akinci.
Yeah, of course the medium tires making the difference at this stage in the race, but it seems like the two Alpines being close together are able to get a feel for the job they have to do to keep at least this 3rd and 4th position at the first stage of the race, so they can attack better on the mediums when they stop after. Most of all, if there aren't any safety cars deployed, this will be advantage for them, as Danny and Ismail probably will leave the pits in the middle of traffic. So something happened to Little Sniper.
Yep, Lethal Sniper having a spin just out of Jun Chao there. Not sure what has happened. Might have been a tap from someone, but he's lost the rear on those medium compound tires. Not ideal for him at all, and he's got it all to do once again. Chanakinchi, however, is starting to feel the pressure from his teammate Christoph Seller behind, as Ismail Fassi and Danny Bresnay have absolutely gone so far. About 3 seconds split between them. Obviously, the mediums are helping as Andreas Lopez has had a few issues as well. He's in Sector 1, has had a little bit of a moment. Not sure what has happened to him so far, but he's slowing right down to a snail's pace. But he comes back towards the pace and will have to rejoin back in P17. Ismail Fassi and Danny Beresnay once again fighting for those positions for first and second. Seller currently fighting his teammate for third and fourth as well, with Lillian and Sendal looking for something as well as they head up towards Jun Chao once again. Seller and Akinci could be a swap over in a few laps time, and there goes the Red Bull of Lillian having a spin out of the final corner, similar to Beresnay in qualifying 2, and Lillian another victim of the traction.
It's so crucial around this track, and it costs you, as we've just seen so many positions, especially at these early stages of the race.
Definitely so. Seller agonizingly goes to his teammates of Akinci as they head up towards turn number 4. Not enough in there to try and go for a move just yet, as Andreas Lopez gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and calls it a day on his race and his season. Had a pretty few decent moments. Obviously, his podium at Italy was one to watch. Just could not work out in Brazil. Beresnay still leading this one, but Ismail Fassi is right behind him, 4.5 tenths separating those top 2, and then Akinci just behind, 3.5 on those hard compound tires, with only Lethal Sniper, Yuri Van Bassel and Gordon Ngolo on different tires, the 2 for softs and 1 for the mediums. The Seller might be in to try and look for something on his teammate once again. He's very, very close a lap ago, currently about a 10th between them. 1 lap ago, as they want to use any more ERS and want to try and get into the slipstream of his teammates. They head up towards turn number 1, so he wants to have a look to that inside. He's just playing the patient game once again and happy to be waiting. Out of the center S's, does anyone get a better exit? Chanakinchi probably getting the better one as they head up towards the line, in towards into the scene of the Lago, and Chanakinchi still just in front on lap 7 of 36, still about 30 laps to go.
In the meantime, we have Fassi and Beresnay on their small train, let's put it this way, just the 2 of them on their own battle. It seems like Beresnay might have just a smidge more of street speed, as it seems like Fassi has been having a hard time, even though he leaves the corner quite close to Beresnay. Still, for the moment, not being able to overtake the Alfa Romeo driver. So it's P2 for him, already 4 seconds between him and Chanakinchi in P3, with Christoph Sell a bit further this time around, so Chan doesn't really feel threatened at this stage.
Definitely not, as Fassi and Beresnay still continue to mount their advantage up front. 4 seconds now between those 2 to Chanakinchi in P3 as he starts to bolt away a little bit from Christoph Seller. But those mediums are far from over just yet. Christian Sendal waiting in the wings. You can see the 2 Alpines and the McLaren just behind him as we've had another spinner, and that is Maestro Mena making it all wrong out of the exit of the center S's. And once again, losing some time. They go side by side. Oh, with, I think that was Lethal Sniper having a little bit of a disagreement. Down the inside goes the Alfa Romeo, still side by side. Mena trying to keep his nose in. Still side by side they go, as up towards the right-hand side. This is brilliant battling all the way through for P15 in this race. It's Alfa Romeo round the outside off the track, and Mena just keeping that position going, but has lost a lot of time from that battling. But still they come. Beresnay and Fassi still 4.2 seconds in front.
Yes, and the gap still getting bigger between P2 and P3. Christoph, of course, gets closer to Chanakinchi during the 2 DRS straights, which are quite close to each other, but then on the middle of the track, he just loses a bit of distance to his teammates, probably doing to their tier. And we had overtake Little Sniper overtaking Modesto Mena, and I'm pretty sure the Spaniard will try to return the maneuver on the Alfa Romeo driver. Two Alfa Romeos battling around this track, but so far Little Sniper holds it together, still in P15.
Yep, so far those two will be battling all day long as we further up the field. Still stuck to this Berezne Fassi fight, 5/10 in it, as it pretty much has been all day long. Fassi doing very, very well to keep up with the Alfa Romeo. I'm wondering when this will take to the pits, and it probably will do. We're expecting them probably maybe 16, 17, 18. They will decide to probably decide to screw off the mediums and on towards the hard compound tyres. We're heading on to lap 10 of 36 in this Brazilian Grand Prix. It's currently being led by Danny Berezne to Ismail Fassi in P2, with Chanakinchi in P3. Christoph Seller sits P4 with Christian Sendal in P5. Daniel Kjelsen sits P6 with Milan in 7th. Igor Arujo sits P8. Moldovan sits 9th with Felipe Sousa in that top 10 as Melesha Mena and Lethal Sniper continue to battle, and that might have gone a little bit off kilter as Melesha Mena is in the wall.
Didn't even notice. Was just focusing on Fassi and Berezne, still so close to each other. And I gotta say, well done, down to P11, still managing to keep on the DRS range of the car ahead of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Chanakinchi, a nice train forming all the way from McKinchi down to Nani Perez in P11, just waiting for the pit stops really as Akinci and the other Alpine of Christoph Seller. As a little bit of a moment though from Akinci just out of the exit. This might invite Seller for something a little bit more as they head up towards turn number 1. A little bit too far away once again is Seller to Akinci. We still have to wait a little bit more time, but I sense more DRS train sort of hunting down from Akinci to Nadi Perez as well. Same with Danny Berezne and Ismail Fassi as Lillian finds his way up into P12, dispatching of Lucas Eduardo in P13. Started 20th in this Grand Prix, so doing quite well to head his way up the field. Obviously, from all the incidents that has happened so far, he's made light work of them and finds himself in P13. Berezne still holding that slender advantage to Ismail Fassi up top for first and second. As they head up towards the final sectors of the racetrack. Fassi 6/10 behind Danny Berezne. Berezne trying to get away as much as they can. We'll have a look on the ERS front, about 60% for Ismail Fassi, and similar to Danny Berezne, about 65 for him as well. So not using a lot of ERS so far are the two in front as Fassi hits the DRS on his steering wheel, trying to close the gap in to Berezne as they head into turn 1. Still nothing doing. Berezne still holds that slender advantage, and the question is, when will this take to the pit stops? And well, obviously the hard compound tyres on, but probably the question is what lap they will go.
I'm pretty sure with so many cars still so close to each other, I wouldn't just jump into the pits so early. Waiting to see if there are any mistakes that can provoke a safety car going on. Of course, at this moment all seems fine, and they are still with a comfortable margin into Chanakinchi, but I'm pretty sure that the Alpine will try to start closing up that gap. In the meantime, of course, we had Jerry Van Bussel in the pits, and we have still Little Sniper already as well. Still to pit with those mediums. I'm not sure what is the ideal window to pit around this track, but it should be interesting to see. Of course, it's Bogdan Moldovan who breaks that DRS train, who was going all the way down to P11. We now have two DRS trains. Let's see if Felipe Sousa can take the best of that to get closer to his fellow countrymen.
Definitely so. We're currently riding that train right about now. Sousa versus Moldovan versus Perez as well. 6/10 separating Moldovan and Sousa. About 5/10 between Perez and Sousa as well, with Moldovan running out of ERS. We'll have a look at the tyre performance between the two. Bogdan Moldovan pretty much fresher on those hard compound tyres. Been pushing a little bit longer compared to Sousa's 30 and Moldovan's 29, but will continue to push on and probably looking a little bit better for wear so far as they head up towards sector number 2 and into sector 3. They will come momentarily, and Sousa probably is going to have to get this job done quite sharpish if he wants to try and join, as you said, Joanna, his fellow countryman of Igor Arujo back in this train. They head up out of Junshao once again. Sousa versus Moldovan, but he's under pressure from Nardi Perez in P11 just behind. We'll flick on over to the Spaniard of Nardi Perez. They head up towards the line now. The DRS will be engaged. Sousa getting help with the DRS from Moldovan, and still nothing gained so far as they head up towards the Decino de Largo. A big lockup from Sousa. A little bit everything happening is now Nardi Perez all over the back of the McLaren. The mistake from Sousa is hit, and now Perez wants to maybe have a little bit of a bite on Felipe Sousa. Nothing doing just there, and they'll still have to wait a little while longer as we head on to lap 14. Probably going to see the likes of Berezne and Fassi in the next probably 5 or 6 laps time.
Let's see when when will they pit. Of course, the longer they go on the mediums, the least they'll have to go on the harder and slower compound tires. They still manage to keep the 5 seconds between them and Chenakenchi. So I'd say the mediums so far are still pretty much decent. So they can keep on going. Of course, Ismail always seemed losing it a bit. Now I was going to say he's always around the half second when they reach turn 1, and he hasn't yet been able to pass Danny on this second straight. So I think when he tries to go for it closer to the end of the race, he might have to do it into turn 1 and not afterwards. Let's see if Danny can answer if Fassi does that.
He's been using a bit of the battery, has Fassi. Last time we've seen him about 46%. You can see on the bottom half of his steering wheels. They head up towards this Junshao in a few moments time. Berezne might just be helped with the DRS of the lap car. I think that's Corden N'Golo just in front of him, as Fassi really putting the pressure on Berezne right about now. I think is his time to realise he wants to try and be in front before the pit stops. They head up towards the line. Once again, the blue flags are being waved as Berezne benefits from the DRS. We'll have a look right about now. I don't think he has for Fassi's sake, as they head up towards turn number 1. 3/10, almost 2/10 heading in towards the center S's. And Fassi still behind just yet, but as they head up towards the Decino de Largo, it could be another story. Fassi versus Berezne as they head up out of the exit of the center S's and hanging into the Decino de Largo. Fassi with the DRS on Berezne, the spinner just behind us, Lucas Eduardo, and Fassi still not trying to get anything done, just not quite close enough out of those parts of the circuit, as Christoph Sella is quite behind his teammate once again. It's 6 seconds between Akinci and Fassi now as they start to break free a little bit more.
And we have Felipe Sousa glued to the back of Bogdan Moldovan. I thought he was going to go for a look into the Shida de Log, but opting to stay just behind the Ferrari driver. But I think at this stage, he's just losing time behind the Ferrari.
Definitely. So Sousa really is probably about lost 2 seconds since the last time we've seen him. You can see there just really getting held up by Moldovan in P9. Fassi, does he have anything left in the tank this time around? Does he wait as Berezne dumping into the pits and still decides to stay out a little while longer? Yellow flags in sector 1. The pit window says it's open for Fassi and Berezne. The chances are, do they want to try and stay out or not? We'd love to know their tyre performance, but we might not see that as for Sousa's sake. Bogdan Moldovan decides to come into the pits to strap on the medium compound tyre. So he's the first one sort of in the train to pit from P9, I think that was. So Beresny and Fassi might just be having a look a little while longer, seeing as they've gone longer than the hard compound size runners, so they might be looking to try and stay on a similar strategy to the hard runners, and fair play if they can do, but I probably doubt they will, Joanna.
I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest. At this stage, if they manage to keep the ties decent, and it seems like they are, because they're still gaining time on Chenekinchi. The longer they go, the less traffic they'll have, so I wouldn't expect Felipe to pit just this lap, as he might want to try to get ahead. Oh, and he has a snap of the rear, so this might compromise what I was about to say, but I think he'll try to get the best of that opener. And as I said, we have Dani Beresny and Ismail Fassi going into the pits, so they will have a lot of traffic to go through.
Absolutely, is Sendal and Knishin having a little bit of a battle side by side. They go around the outside, go Sendal, trying to hang it over Hamilton and Verstappen. That's how you do it. Side by side goes Knishin and Sendal. So close between the two of them as they head up towards Destino Del Lago, who's got later on the brakes, and Knishin just behind, just in front a little bit more as Beresny and Fassi come out. And Fassi has lost time, I think. No, haven't, never mind, as they all try and battle away. Still Sendal and Knishin having a go all on their own as Sendal has been spat out a little bit, which opens the door for Milan Mir to go through. Round the outside goes the Haas. Does Sendal have the traction? They're still about side by side, and Milan Mir gets the job done up into P4. A terrible set of corners for Sendal, losing positions as out of the pit comes Dani Beresny and Ismail Fassi in 10th and 11th. Should get the lead inherited back to them, but a little bit in traffic between Lucas Eduardo and Dani Beresny, and for Fassi's sake, this could lick his lips a little bit more to try and catch up to the back of Dani Beresny.
The worst part is that if the Beresny will pass, and I think he will, into turn 1, and Fassi isn't able to pass into turn 4, that might completely compromise them being together during the rest of the race.
Definitely so. Beresny unable to catch up to Eduardo this time around. Fassi just creeping in a little bit more. He's going to have to really put the power down in these next few laps. Moldovan fastest with a 9.430 as Beresny is just stuck in this train so far, and that is really going to help Akinchi's challenges with Sella as well to try and win this Grand Prix. Fassi currently sitting P9, 6 tenths behind Dani Beresny at the moment. What can he have in the tank to try and ruffle some feathers as Beresny really getting stuck behind the back of Lucas Eduardo in this race? More yellow flags in Sector 2 and Sector 3. A few lap cars. There goes Beresny down the inside. He has to make that lunge to try and get away from Fassi. Gets the job done, and up into P7 he goes and gets a little bit more breathing distance between himself and Fassi. Eduardo goes off the track just to let Fassi go. I think that was probably nicely done there as Beresny now all over the back of Stefano Ramazio, but Fassi is right there. Could this be 3 wide as they head up towards the line? There goes Stefano Ramazio into the pits. So does one of the Aston Martins as well, as Beresny finds himself up to P4, Fassi P5, Mena with a 3-second time penalty as well as they head up towards Destino Del Lago. Beresny will be helped by the DRS, but Fassi is quite close behind as they head up towards Destino Del Lago now. Sousa now with the fastest lap, 9.334 for him. Beresny still just in front of Fassi, but Fassi is breathing down his neck right at the minute as they get stuck behind Lillian.
Yeah, let's see if there is going to be another dive from Dani Beresny. He knows it's probably his last chance to get a decent gap between him and the Mercedes driver just behind him. But Fassi has been brilliant navigating the traffic to making sure and that he is quite close to Dani Beresny. And who knows if there is going to be an attack from Fassi on Beresny at the beginning of the next lap.
Here we go then. Fassi has been the closest he's been to Beresny pretty much all race. This could be pretty tasty. Lillian leading this train. Beresny P4, Fassi P5 with Eduardo looking in the wings. Side by side they will go. Does Lillian decide to defend it? No, he doesn't. Here comes Fassi as well. Side by side they go. Fassi has to continue that down the inside. Does he get the job going? Yes, he does. Just about has to leave the room. But Fassi round the outside. Caught up a little bit, but keeps that momentum going. And up into P3 he goes. toes. Fassi now in P3. Berezne is in P2 as Akinci comes out in P6, P7, sorry, out of the pit lane. He will come actually P8 just behind his teammate as well, as Fassi and Berezne pretty much navigating that traffic down to a nail, as Daniel Kishan and Christoph Seller having a little bit of a battle of their own, and Kishan actually jump in Akinci in the pits.
Joshua, look who's in P1, ready to Perez the hell out of Dani Berezne.
Definitely so. Nadi Perez teammates with Ismail Fassi, just waiting for Berezne to pounce. This could play in Fassi's favour so much if they start to catch up. Modestro Menes, we've just noticed, retires from the session. So does Corda Ningolo. Yeri Van Bassau a lap down, I think, as well. 32 seconds behind Lethal Sniper as they head up towards turn number 1 with Nadi Perez still leading this Grand Prix, still yet to make a pit stop. Lucas Eduardo now comes into the pits off those hard compound tyres. I think this is going to be the game for Mercedes. Nadi Perez staying a little while longer just to back up Dani Berezne to help Fassi's favour as they head up towards turn number 4 now of Decino del Lago. And this, yeah, definitely, as you said, Joanna, is going to get very tasty with Fassi and Berezne later on, with Perez now in the mix.
Yeah, hope I said Perez out, but probably Bottas out since it's Mercedes. But we'll see in a bit. Of course, the gap 1 second smaller than it was this time around last lap. So interesting to see. Of course, another interesting thing to see is how fast will Christoph Seller be able to close that gap, if he will be able to close that gap on those mediums. Of course, Chenekinci getting the worst out of the pit stops, losing position to both his teammate and Daniel Kilson, although he's quite close. Let's see if he manages to take advantage of DRS and closeness, but of course Daniel Kilson also has DRS into his teammate. So let's see if the Alpines manage to do it well. Oh my god. Both positions lost for Christoph Seller at this stage, with Chenekinci really close to Daniel Kilson. Let's see if he manages to not lose it. He's really close. DRS open in the rear of the Alpine. He goes side by side with Daniel Kilson, who will have the outer line out of Chida Dulag. But of course, it's still side by side, but it's advantage Chenekinci. Christoph Seller still trying to take a look to see if he's going his. So far, it's Chenekinci, Daniel Kilson, and Christoph Seller. Very productive lap for Chenekinci.
Akinci making the moves and getting the job done on those fresher medium compounded tyres, and getting the job done on his teammate Seller and Daniel Kilson as well, as he now leads into the P5 spot and leading that little train that is forming from about P5 to about P10 from Igor Arujo just behind him as well. As we head up further towards the field, Fassi still just behind Berezne, but we're still glued to this battle between Akinci, Kjelsen and Seller as well, with Christian Sendal wanting something out of this as well as they head up towards turn number 1. Still nothing going. We'll flick on over to Ismail Fassi versus Berezne as Nadi Perez starts to come closer and closer into this battle. Lap 24 of 36. The question is, how long can those hard tyres last for Nadi Perez? He's been nursing them so well this lap just to try and help his teammates of Ismail Fassi, probably looking to strap on the set of the soft compound tyres after this one as they head up towards the sector 2 once again. Berezne 1.3 seconds behind Nadi Perez. Fassi losing a little bit of time on this lap, actually 7.5 tenths separating Berezne and Fassi as they head up towards not Decino del Lago. Junchao once again. Fassi probably gonna have to use a little bit of ERS to try and get into a little bit closer to Berezne, as for now Berezne is in this DRS. There it is. Fassi using a little bit of ERS out of the exit, heading onto the DRS straight. Berezne, he will get the DRS on the other Mercedes. They head up towards turn number 1. Berezne still just behind, and now Nadi Perez is in this fight.
Well, he's not in the fight
to an extent, yeah.
But he will definitely be a part of this fight. And I'm pretty sure that Dani Berezne is not close enough to attack Nadi Perez. So it's going to be a very troublesome second sector for Berezne behind these Mercedes.
Definitely so, as Beresnay really going to be held up by Nani Perez here. I'm sure he won't be liking it any bit, as Nani Perez, sorry, really getting closer to the back of Beresnay, as Beresnay is probably going to have to get this done as soon as possible. Perez have to defend into this one. Beresnay not quite close enough to make the move, and now Fassi has sort of clawed that back in ever so slightly. This is getting pretty tense indeed, as Akinci passes Lillian per P4 as well, just behind. Further in front, will stick to this battle for P1. Beresnay versus Perez in this battle, with Fassi just waiting in the wing. Perez has to do something. He does decide to come into this pit, so it has worked for Fassi in a way. He's starting to get closer as Perez gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as they head up towards center S for the center S's, heading in towards the left and towards the right. And we were a few laps to go. Still 10 laps to go in this race, as now Fassi is all over the back of Beresnay, and with a few laps he could be seeing the lead change.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Fassi will wait a few more laps before trying to do any sort of maneuver on Dani Beresnay. Still 10 laps to go besides this one till the end of the race, and there is those 5 seconds between them and Akinci that if they start to fight, they will fall really fast, as tire advantage is for the Alpine. So let's see if they keep it together and together to each other, so we'll have a very excellent couple of final laps.
Absolutely, 10 laps to go. He's going to need to find something a little bit more, is Akinci, if he wants to try and fight for this win. So far, it's between Beresnay and Fassi. And as you said, yeah, Joanna, the tire performance will be much better suited for the likes of pretty much everyone in this battle, as Lillian is still yet to pit off those hard compounder tyres. Everyone pretty much quicker at the moment, as Igor Arujo pits once again. That's his AI actually, as he's left the session. Really annoying, he's only done 9 laps on that tyre. But Fassi really on the back of Beresnay now, is going to have to get it done pretty soon. Only 10 laps to go in this race. And the question is, when he's deciding to go is the question. Further back towards the field, Kyuchen is closing in to Chan Akinci, Sella as well. This little battle really getting quite intense between pretty much from Akinci to about Sousa down, but it flickers either way between Lillian and Milan Mayer in that battle between 0.9 and about 1.2, as Lillian really struggling on those hard compound tyres, but Christoph Seller really looking either to try and pounce on Daniel Kyuchen coming into turn 1 maybe.
Let's see, of course. I don't think there will be any changes in the front of the field, as I mentioned, but Christoph Seller is really close to Daniel Kyuchen. Of course, Kyuchen with the DRS makes it way harder for everybody else to try to gain a position on them. So I think it will stay the same way for a few laps still. Of course, this DRS train is a bit annoying for the ones in the rear, because it really doesn't allow them to gain any kind of position.
It does not indeed. We'll have a look at the tyre performance there. Sella just a little bit better, about 2% better than the likes of Sella. 28 plays to 30%. And now Sella probably with that information knowing he's going to have to try and push that a little bit harder to try and catch up. But look at Chan Akinci, already about 2-3 laps, has gained about 0.5 of a second. Right about now, probably about that. He'll be closing up to the likes of Fassi in a few laps' time. This could be a grandstand finale we could be treated to tonight. Beresnay versus Fassi in front, as Fassi maybe just trying to hold on to this P2. Surely not, as they head up towards the line. Once again, it's so tight. But once again, just Fassi and Beresnay, just Beresnay having that extra bit of touch to this race, which is helping him stay in the lead a little bit longer. Daniel Kyuchen just behind once again, 4/10 back from the Alpine, with Christoph Seller in P5. Sendal sits P6 with Milan Mayer in P7 as Nani Perez sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and we're into the 1 minute 8.925 for him. They head up towards the Interlagos once again. Milan Mayer just behind Christian Sendal at the moment. Beresnay still leading, but Fassi clawing it back up a little bit, with Chan Akinci waiting in the wings, hoping for something to pounce in a few laps' time.
In the meantime, swap of positions between Stefano Ramazio and Lucas Eduardo for P12, with the Brazilian taking the best of the Italian, and then still trying to see if he manages to close that 2-second gap. Of course, Nardi Perez has a 3-second time penalty going on against him, so at this stage it's a P11 for Lucas Eduardo. Let's see if he manages to close. Of course, we've just seen that Nardi Perez was the fastest man on track last time around, so of course he will be looking for himself, trying to close that 6-second gap to the guy ahead, as Lillian, the last one that hadn't yet stopped, goes into the pits.
There he goes then, Lillian, after a 30-lap stint on those hard compound tyres. Incredible there. It's surprising he didn't attend for the softs, but goes for the safer option of the medium compound tyres. But what a stint there for Lillian. Will not end up into anything, I don't think, unless a safety car comes out quite late. But probably, from the looks of the racing, doesn't look likely. So they head up towards Sector 2. Once again, 6 laps to go of this Season 17 of ORL. Hope you have enjoyed every single moment of this. I know I have very, very much, and absolutely thank you all to be watching this on your Sunday night. It's currently Beresnay leading with Fassi in P2 by 6-7 tenths of a second, with Chanakinchi in P3 reeling in the front two. So head on to lap 31 of 36, 5 laps to go. Chanakinchi might need about, I'm trying to do the maths in my head, about probably 5 a bit tenths to try and catch up to the lead. And I think Daniel Keaton and Christoph Seller will probably know that, but I'm wondering if it starts to flicker, Keaton might just try and get interested to try and take this lead and try to catch up to the likes of Fassi and Beresnay.
Well, it wouldn't be easy at this stage. There's still gaining time on the duo ahead of them, but it's still 4 seconds to go. So let's see. Because if Daniel Kilson just passes Chen Akinci, of course, Chen will be in conditions to try to return the maneuver, and that will just cost them time. So I'd say stick where you are for now and try to gain the position at the end, because that's podium position for them.
8 or so tenths is probably what Akinci needs to try and catch up to the back of Beresnay and Fassi per lap. That is, obviously, he's just about gains about 2 or 3 tenths all the way now, and I think Fassi might know that, and so does Beresnay, so they're probably going to have to get a little bit of a move on, as Akinci probably knows that now, as he's starting to sort of push that little bit more, trying to get away from Cleaton just behind. 3.8 separating Beresnay, separating Fassi to Akinci, as it flickers all the way through as they head up towards Destino del Lago once again. Meanwhile, Fassi still behind Beresnay ever so slightly. They still battle for the lead of this Grand Prix. 4 laps to go in this Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is going to be a hair-standing finish. Chanakinchi starts to close up to Fassi for the championship lead, but it's looking likely it will go to Beresnay. Chanakinchi still plugging away as Christoph Seller gets past Christian Sendal for P number 5. And I think Sendal might have had a little bit of a mistake out of the few couple of corners.
Of course, that's not ideal at this stage, but still in the DRS range, so he will be able to recover for sure this small mistake. Although we have Christoph Seller really closer to Kilson at this stage than the Norwegian, who seems to have lost some time for the Turkish ahead of them. But then again, you have DRS, it's so powerful around here. Especially from the last braking zone until turn 1. Not so much powerful when you get a good exit out of turn 3. All stays the same, of course, with Milan Maia not really pushing it in the rear of Christoph Sendal, so he's quite safe at P6 at this stage.
Absolutely, as Lillian goes a little bit quicker to an 8.2 is the fastest lap now, slowly getting into the 7s on track. 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Ismail Fassi has started to put the hammer down a little bit more. It was quite close to the back of Beresnay heading out of Decino de Lagos. They head in to Junsao. It's about 0.5 of a second. We'll have a look there. It's about equal on the tyre performance. 43 to 43 is the highest. It's absolutely all square, to be honest, with you between those tyres. As Akinci trying to close up as best he can, probably looking at it now, he might not get there unless Fassi and Beresnay have a massive collision of some sort, which could send them all off charter as they head out of the final couple of corners of sector number 1 of the center S's. Fassi getting closer again with 2 laps to go. He knows that the end is near. He's surely gonna have to put everything into these last 2 laps to try and get this win. He's been saving that battery surely for the last couple of laps, as has Beresnay. 87 pays to about 75 at the moment, and Fassi is pushing for his life at the moment, Joanna.
Well, he knows this isn't going to be an easy battle for Fassi. They're both with their batteries filled, contrary actually to the third, fourth, and fifth positions. So that's advantage for the top duo. But in the battle between themselves, this can't make it any easier for Fassi because he keeps having a worse exit out of turn of Junção than Beresnay. And with that battery on the Alfa Romeo, I don't think he will be able to be a threat.
Definitely not. We'll have to wait and see. Lap 35 of 36 Akinci. It might have just lost the pace of those medium compound tyres. 0.2 of a second separate Fassi and Beresnay. Fassi is all over the back of the Alfa Romeo now as we head on to the final 2 laps of this Grand Prix. Fassi's time to shine. Almost having a look to that inside. Beresnay wanted him to go for the DRS on the last lap, and this is where it gets tasty for Ismail Fassi to try and take this win on the last lap of the season. The last lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix is up for grabs for the Spaniard, the young man, for Ismail Fassi to take away the crown of Danny Beresnay, whose experience in esports ranges from so much. And Fassi, the newcomer on the block, coming into F1 esports, maybe in a few seasons' time, maybe even this season, we'll never know if he gets into the challenges. We head over to the final lap of the season of the Grand Prix. Fassi versus Beresnay. Beresnay currently on course for the title, even if he finishes in P2. Here we go then. Fassi versus Beresnay for the win of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lap 36 and 36. We are ready to go. Fassi having to look to that downside. Already so close. Fassi and Beresnay having a look to that inside. Fassi unsuccessful this time around as they head up towards Decino de Lago. Beresnay gonna have to defend for his life. Fassi knows this is on. To the left, to the right they go. Fassi out of DRS as they head up towards the outside. Not gonna go enough. Beresnay just holding on so far. Fassi surely now knows that he's gonna get the slipstream out of the final couple of corners to win this Brazilian Grand Prix. 10.5 separating the both of them. Fassi went for that move out of the center S's. Was not gonna work as they head up towards the final couple of corners of this Brazilian Grand Prix. It sprung to life from the final corner. Beresnay might have just had it covered as Fassi has a look once again to that inside. Not a lot going, but Beresnay out of the final couple of corners might have just wrapped this up. Fassi losing ERS, but Danny Beresnay, as we've just flick over to him, he's been night and day this season. Denied last season of the championship as he head out towards now. He had a job to do this season to win the championship. The experience conquers for Danny Beresnay. It's his time this season. Danny Beresnay is your ORL Season 17 champion of the world. Danny Beresnay wins the Brazilian Grand Prix from start to finish pretty much, and Danny Beresnay adds his name to the record list. He is an ORL champion of the world, Joanna.
What a finale, deserving of a champion in this championship. And of course, Danny has been almost untouchable the whole season. And I'd say that he's the closer they've been to him, he's been Ismail Fassi since Miami. And of course, an amazing battle between those two out of this last race, and the well-deserved win for Beresnay in the championship after losing it in the last round last time around. This time it's his.
Absolutely so. He's been absolutely unstoppable this season. 5 wins to his name in pretty much everything he's competed in. And as you said, Joanna, he's been night and day in this season and pretty much the man to be stopped. Just Chanakinchi and Ismail Fassi could not be touchable this evening, but Ismail Fassi, yeah, as you said, Joanna, probably the closest he's been all season since Miami, and that's an incredible day that was racing there. It's been so a brilliant season all the way through. 12 rounds of racing, and it came to the last one in Brazil, and Danny Beresny wraps up the championship with the season finale here in Brazil. What an achievement for Beresny. Denied last season by Daniela Haddad, as we saw there, and got the job done this season between the youngsters are coming through of Ismail Fassi, Shanakinchi and Christoph Sella. Here are your results then. It is Danny Beresny who wins the Brazilian Grand Prix and wins the Season 17 Championship. Ismail Fassi takes P2 with Daniel Clishan in Shanakinchi in P3. Daniel Clishan sits P4 with Christoph Sella in P5. Sendal sits P6 with Milan Meyer in P7. Felipe Souza sits P8. Bogdan Moldovan is 9th. And Lucas Eduardo getting points from the back of the field in P10. Ramasio sits 11th with Nani Perez in 12th. Leonid Brevcourt sits 13th with Lethal Sniper in 14th. Igor Aruo sits 15th with the fastest lap with Yeri Van Bassel. Modestia Mena, Corden Ngolo, Andreas Lopez and Varga Botons out of the session already. And that was an absolutely incredible race. That was, Joanna. What a race we were treated to tonight.
What a race we were treated to tonight, and I think we will have the opportunity to speak with the top three from the championship and, of course, from the race as well.
Absolutely. I think we'll start with our P2 man. Ismail Fassi has joined us for a chat. Ismail, I was pretty close, pretty much all the way with you between you and Danny. That was a pretty nice battle all the way through those 36 laps.
Definitely was. At the beginning of the race, I knew he was gonna switch from hards to mediums, so I did that as well. And we were pushing as hard as we could just to build a gap to the hard runners. And later on, we had some traffic, but we didn't lose that much time. And yeah, at the end, I was trying to recharge some battery. He was on full battery, I think, and he was a bit fast on the straights. Wasn't that fast on the straights, but still a bit faster than me. And yeah, I dive bombed in turn one. I didn't want to push him off the track, so I respect him. I gave him, well, he gave me the space, so I thank him because other people doesn't do that. I think we touched a bit, not that much. It was clean, hard battle. I tried to pass him into turn four, but he defended very well. And yeah, the RTR was a bit a problem for me when I was a bit closer to him. Very well. He was very fast. Also in qualifying with a mega lap. So yeah, very happy with P2.
Absolutely. Talk us through that qualifying then, as we just mentioned there. It was pretty tight towards you. Obviously, a lot of the guys getting in towards the sixes, but also Danny was pretty tight all the way through. But do you feel like anything else could have been extracted there, or do you think that's probably what you could have done?
Yeah, I lost some time in sector 3 and also in sector 2. But it was, I mean, I wasn't gonna do a mid point 6. He beat the esports pole, which is amazing. But yeah, we will be pushing for the next wave and see what we get.
Absolutely. Obviously, it is the end of the season now. We won't be going to Singapore, but obviously further things down the line. Of course, obviously F1 Esports Challenges is coming up. Do you think you'll be able to qualify in that and show your talent to everyone else watching?
Yeah, why not? I think, uh, well, I don't know how many days are left to finish the first event. I think I'm provisional P3, if I'm not mistaken.
By 1 point. By
Hmm?
one. You stay P3 by 1 point at the end. Chan has 138. You have 137.
Yeah, same with challengers. I think I'm P3, which is good. So yeah, I hope I get in and show to the people what I'm capable of.
Absolutely. Well, massive congratulations once again, Ismail. It's been a joy to watch you this season, and good luck for the rest of the game.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Ismail. We'll move over to Chan Akinci then. Joanna, if you want to talk to our runner-up of the championship this season, and obviously P3 tonight.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Good evening. It's been, I'm sure, a very tiring race with all that battling with your teammate and Daniel Kilson. But ultimately, you managed to stick to P2 in the championship. So tell me about, well, specifically this race, but if you want to do a wrap of the championship, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, actually, like first of all, congrats to Ismail and Danny. They did a really good job, especially Danny. Like he beat the esports ball, as Ismail said. Like it's just cracked. Yeah, it was a good championship, and like I was doing the esports event before the race. I didn't realize the time, and it was I s- I only started practicing the race like 30 minutes ago, which is not ideal. And I thought I was going to get eliminated in Q2 because of that, but I actually PB'd in session. And yeah, in the race, nothing actually happened except the overtake on Daniel and Christoph. My race pace was okay, so I wanted to stay ahead of them, and it was the right choice. Because of their there they were struggling to stay with me in the middle section. So like uh, it was a good race from my perspective. I'm actually happy with it.
When you for sure noticed they swapping for the medium tires, what were your thoughts?
uh, I was like, I don't know, actually I didn't know what to feel with medium tires. Cristobal already pitted before me, and Daniel pitted before me as well, and Christian, I guess they pitted at the same time, I guess. And I thought they were gonna undercut me like huge time because I did like crucial mistakes in lap as well. But I was actually shocked when I came out of pits right in front of Christian. It was actually a hard transition because, as I said, I didn't do any race practice or anything. It was like a weird feeling. I didn't know how much fuel do I need to get as well. I had like +2 or +1.5 in the end, which was not ideal. And as I said, it was a good race, and nothing actually happened.
Okay, any final words you want to give us?
No, thank you.
Thank you as well for your presence throughout this season. And Joshua, do you want to ask anything to our runner-up?
Chan, obviously, it was a great race from you. Obviously, keeping with that P through the championships. Looked on at a few rounds, and obviously, you were brilliant all the way through the season. Moving on, obviously, to outside ORL. Obviously, we've got the F1 Esports Challenges event coming soon. Are you confident that you can get through to that one once again?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the season. And second of all, I actually don't know because last year I had the pace as well, but um, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. The funny spot changes is quite dirty because it's 25%. People are just sending it all over the place. Even when you start P1, you can just die bombed by P2 and die in the first lap. And I actually don't know. I don't want to speak like 100% sure because I'm not sure at all. I can qualify, and to F1 Esports Challenges, but in the end, I can finish the championship P20 by not scoring anything. But yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming season and I'm gonna do my best.
Absolutely. Well, massive congratulations to you all season, Chan,
Thank
and good luck for the challenges as well.
Thank you.
Moving on then to our race winner and our champion of the season. It is the one and only Danny Bresnay. Danny, you're world champion. It's got to be an amazing feeling.
Yes, hello guys. It's been a good race. I wanted to break the RS from Fassi, but his race pace was very, very good. And I got surprised by the attack that he made on me in the last lap. He is just an awesome driver, to be honest. He left me space on the outside, I left him space. On the inside, he's only 16 years old, so if you are listening somehow, then obviously I wish you the best of luck for the Challenger Series. It's been a pleasure to race with him on the same track, and I want drivers like him to compete with us in the future of F1 esports as well, because it's just good to have wheel-to-wheel action with him. It goes the same for Chanakinchi as well, to be honest. The qualifying session was the most important one once again, because I knew that I will probably have a quite safe race if I just get pole position, start with the mediums, break the RS, and just by pure raw race pace on a clean track, just get away with myself alone, or maybe the couple of guys that choose the same strategy with me. But after all, it was only Fassi who used that. And yeah, nothing else I can say. Everything worked perfectly. The pit entry line, it's been modified. It's been brought earlier, so we had to brake like 30 meters earlier to not overspeed in the pit. So maybe the pit entry was the trickiest. I'm not sure if anyone got a 5 seconds penalty, but it was easy to get today. And yeah, on the whole championship, thank you very much for organizing this. I missed a couple of races, but I think except of one, I won everything that I participated in. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm looking forward to compete with F123 as well.
Absolutely. Talk us through that qualifying as well. You beat the F1 Esports pole position by just a bit. I think it was Freddie Rasmussen who picked it. Correct me if I am wrong there. But just talk us through that lap. How are you feeling on that lap?
Yeah, so Brazil, I hope to believe that it's one of my best tracks, and I was actually really, really frustrated in F1 Esports to miss out on a huge opportunity and get a pole position for the first time for years, because I had such a great raw pace advantage compared to the others. With the F1 Esports version of the game, which is a little bit different to the retail version, I was doing consistent 0.5 in the preparations, and I made a huge mistake in my F1 Esports lap, costing me 1.5 tenths, and that's why I only started P6. But in overall, even with this build, which is a little bit slower, it's slower by around half a tenth to maybe a tenth of a second than the F1 Esports version. I still did the lap time that would have been enough for pole position there as well. So it's just a good proof to myself that I improved under the pressure of a live qualifying session around this track, and I was really glad to be able to extract this lap time.
Absolutely. Obviously, moving on to obviously later in the game, F123 should be coming out in about summer. Obviously, F1 Esports is back near the end of the year. Do you think you can carry on your performance with the team? Obviously, the F1 Esports silly season has it's been quoted on Twitter, probably the main talking point as well. But do you think you can continue with the championship going into F1 Esports and maybe get a few wins for yourself?
Yeah, wins is a little bit far ahead currently, but that's the main goal. But I take everything step by step, and I will have the opportunity to race in the 2023 F1 Esports Pro Championship as well, and that's all what is needed. Once I have the opportunity to prove myself, I will try to work the hardest and most productive way to do it in the best possible way.
That's congratulations again to Danny. Joanna, any questions to Danny before we go?
Well, just wanted to say, Danny, that to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed. The first time I've heard about you. It was talking about your singer prowess, so I was fully expecting you to be singing "We Are the Champions" tonight. Regardless, just wanted to congratulate you on an awesome season, even though you weren't able, due to esports, to race the full amount of races. You were always very, very dominant on the ones that you participated, even with a few unfortunate events like Canada. You were absolutely amazing this season, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Danny Beresnay, your champion of season 17. And Joanna, that pretty much brings us to the end of the season. It's been quite it's been a long one and sort of been a short one as well, but it's been a really, really good one all the way through.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting to see, and the way it finished. I think it's brilliant, with Beresnay dominating, but still with all that pressure from Ismail Fassi, and as Danny just mentioned, 16 years old, from Spain. Sorry, so very interesting to see what both our runner-up and our P3 will be able to do in the challenges in the next couple of months. So it's a wrap up from us. It was a pleasure sharing the booth with you this season. I hope it wasn't too much trouble sharing it with me and my Portuguese lessons sometimes. But it was truly a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure with you, Joanna, as well. Brilliant to be commentating over you. But yeah, that will bring it to the end of the season here in ORL for season 17. Thank you to all our sponsors this season: HyperX, BenQ, Mobius, Cooler Master, Next Level Racing, and IMB RaceWear for all of your products that you have given to us all this season. And thank you to all the team back in ORL for holding this championship and getting us in to commentate all the action. But yeah, that's pretty much been it for the season. Thank you all to all of you as well for bringing us this moment, obviously coming in to the chat as well, bringing all your knowledge and obviously all your fandom for bringing it into the chat and bringing it on towards the season. But that will bring it to an end. From myself and from Joanna, stay safe. We will be back for season 18 in a time of place, maybe on the new game, maybe just before the end. But from myself, Joshua Davis, and from Joanna Brito, thank you all very, very much for watching, and we will see you next season. Goodbye.